Welcome, welcome. I'm not going to talk your ears off here, but I just wanted to say hello. My name is Patrick Ria. I am one of the local volunteers here for Mr. Charest, Jean Charest, and it's a great crowd. Lots of friendly faces I haven't seen in a long time, and some faces that I guess I haven't seen anyone in a long time. COVID's really gotten in the way of that, right? But we wanted to thank everyone for showing up today. It's tough to organize an event when your candidates' intentions are not clear until a few days ago. So we're organizing it, and here we are, and we're so happy to be here. It's my pleasure to introduce Paul Haggis, who is a Calgary businessman. You may know him as the former president of ATB, the chairman at Canadian Pacific, and also the president of the chairman of the Enterprise Group. He's a strong conservative here in town, and he's here to say a few words about our candidate.
Thank you. You know, if ever there was a time for leadership, a need for leadership, competent, experienced leadership is now. We're facing global pressures unprecedented since World War II, and we have discord and disharmony within. Hello. What we need here is a real leader, an experienced leader, someone who's done it before, and that person is Jean Charest. You know, you see the need, people who think and know themselves and step up, that have the experience and good old competence. That's something we need desperately, to step up and fix what needs to be fixed. Jean Charest is that person. Consider, he rebuilt the Conservative Party from its low in 1993. He shored up our Confederation with his move to Quebec politics, and ultimately served as Premier from 2003 to 2012. And he left Quebec well-managed and operating in surplus. He promoted energy delivery and resource development with his groundbreaking Grand Nord. And following his political career, or I should say, taking a break from his political career, he gave advice and counsel at McCarthy's that was highly valued around the world. Such success is not achieved alone. Michel Dion, Jean's spouse, advisor and counsel, is Abigail Adams, is Clementine Churchill. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here with us. Jean Charest, commitment, competence, experience, vision, success. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the next Prime Minister of Canada, Jean Charest.
Thank you. Thank you for that very, very kind introduction. And thank you for introducing my wife, Michelle, who just happens to be the most important constituent in the country right now for this leadership race. Friends, I am here in Calgary, and I'm here in Alberta tonight because I want to make a point. And the point I want to make is about the Conservative Party of Canada and about the country itself. That's why I chose to be here tonight with you. And I had a great run when that has been, for me, the most important ideal of my whole life. I have fought for that. I believe in it. I'm among those who actually think that in the lottery of citizenships around the world, Canadians won first prize. We are, of all the places in the world, the best place to be born and to be able to raise a family and have a job. And yet, when I look out, I see a country that's way below its potential. And I also know that if this country is going to meet its potential, it needs national political parties. And the Conservative Party of Canada has a responsibility. And we should not take that lightly. It isn't just a mission, it isn't just the story of an election campaign. This is something that we owe to the citizens of the country, that is embedded in the history of our party. And that's to be a national political party able to bring the country together, because if Canadians are not together around the same table, this country is not going to meet its potential. If we are balkanized the way we are balkanized now, we are not going to meet our potential. If we are going to deal with all the key issues that we have to deal with in the economy, whether it has to do with foreign policy, whether it has to do with growth, the only way for that to happen is for Alberta to be at the table. There is no other way. And that's why I am here. That's why I'm here in Alberta. That's why we chose to be here first. So that it is clear that the campaign I want to do for the Conservative Party of Canada is one in which we're going to offer a national vision for the future of the country, where we'll elect a national government. And we're going to do it based on conservative values. All this, you know, our party has been badly distracted in the last few years. And I have a lot of respect, by the way, for Andrew Scheer, for Erin O'Toole, and of course, for the favorite son of Alberta, Stephen Harper, who has been a great Prime Minister for this country, who has left a very proud legacy, a legacy that we will honor. But as I look at the party today, the party is fractured. And the party needs to look at itself and ask itself, what is it that we represent? Who is it that we represent? And in this day of the obsessive identity politics, everything becomes hyphenated between red and blue and SOCONs and others, when in fact we are conservatives. And I am running as a conservative. And what does that mean? I was in the media today saying to the Quebec media that being a conservative is about fiscal conservatism, something I practiced all my life. It's about a market-based economy. It's about policies that promote economic growth and allow us to prosper, because if we have economic growth, I've been in government, if you have no economic growth, there are no choices. There are no options if you're not able to generate growth in your economy and allow people to earn a good and solid living. Being a conservative is about supporting families. Being a conservative is also, and this distinguishes us from the federal liberals, it's about a federal system of government that respects the jurisdictions of the provinces. Hear, hear. And I've lived by that critic. You know, maybe it would be interesting, it may be a breath of fresh air in Ottawa to have a prime minister who actually knows how the federal system operates and knows how to make it work so that we're able to get big things done. Big things that includes infrastructure projects. It includes pipelines. It includes the oil and gas industry. Those are the things that I believe in and have, by the way, have always believed in. I'm not coming into this leadership race all of a sudden discovering the oil and gas industry. I'm not coming into this race all of a sudden discovering Alberta, when I have been out here several times over the last few years. And believe me, I'm not looking for your sympathy on that. I came because I wanted to. And I came because I had a great time. I started when I was in politics. Gary Marr and I were ministers of the environment with Ralph Klein as premier. We all remember Ralph very affectionately. And who would have known? I want to share an anecdote with you, because Gary and Nancy, his wife, went on to serve in Hong Kong. Subsequently, my daughter was there with 2 grandchildren, and they needed godparents for their 2 grandchildren. Who would have known in a country like Canada that you meet a young man named Gary Marr, and a few years later, they become the godparents of your grandchildren? this is, you know, that's part of the poetry of life, of the things that count, the things that make up a life. And so this conservative party of ours, and the conservatism that I am going to defend, for which I've always lived by, these are the rules I've lived by. The rule of law, this federalism that we believe in making the country work, are the things that I want to bring to the leadership, first of all, of this party. I want to unite the party, and once we have been able to sit down and look at what we want to do for the country, we'll have a very short period of time, about 2 years, to prepare for a general election campaign. And I guarantee you, if there's one thing I know and I have learned in politics, I know how to win. I know this country needs the Conservative Party. They need a national government. We need a government that is going to have people from Alberta at the table shaping policies, not being on the outside, which is what the Trudeau government has did. I mean, the Liberals have always had this view of how policy is made by announcing it to people. I've seen it up close. Every time we dealt, and every time I dealt as a minister, as a premier, with resources and the resource industry, you mentioned the Plan Nord. I developed a plan for the whole north of Quebec, twice the size of France. 120,000 people live there, 4 native groups. I know them all individually, personally. We developed a plan to develop and support those resources because Canada is a country rich in resources. And then we get our debates on climate, which are real debates. But you know what? We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do this smartly. We can do it in a way that is going to allow us to generate economic growth. We can do it in a way that doesn't hurt people who live in rural Canada. We can do it in a way that doesn't mean you're going to have a wealth transfer tax. We should and must do it in a way that respects the jurisdictions of the provinces. Those are the things we should do. Carbon capture and storage, hydrogen, green or blue hydrogen, or small modular reactors. All these are the solutions that Canada should be doing. But there's one thing in the last few weeks that has risen to the top that changes the view all of a sudden. This terrible, terrible war, Russia attacking Ukraine, which is heartbreaking for all of us. All of us. And all of a sudden, appears one of the key issues that all governments have to pay attention to, and that's the security of supply of energy. Every individual nation in the world that is sovereign must secure supply of energy. And all of a sudden, for Canada, this is on our agenda. Usually it isn't. You know why? Because this type of crisis doesn't happen all the time. But the responsibilities of governments isn't to just manage things on a day-to-day basis. It's about preparing. It's about anticipating. It's about doing all that needs to be done so that you can secure your economy. And now all of a sudden, in Europe, we have this situation where Russia is actually being financed by Europe by buying their gas, their oil and gas, to wage a war against Ukraine. And where is Canada in all of this? Where is the country in the world who could supply them with the oil and the gas? And why are we not there? Why are we not able to do that? Well, this war, which is a tragedy for all of us in the world, should not be forgotten for the lesson it brings to Canada. When I was Premier of Quebec, in and outside of politics, I defended the idea of pipelines. You know who built the last pipeline in Quebec? It was my government. My government built the last pipeline. And we got it done. I mean, if we were able to address the environmental issues, the economic issues, the social, whatever we were able to do it and get it done. Today, in the French press, in Montreal, the Journal La Presse, the big headline was, Charest in favor of pipelines. You know what? If we're going to get pipelines done in Canada, I can come to Alberta and tell you that I'm in favor of pipelines, and you will all agree, I'm sure. But would it not have been good to have a Prime Minister of Canada say, as I did, that he's in favor of pipelines where it counts and where it makes a difference in parts of the country that need to know why pipelines are important? That's what I will bring to this leadership. And so that's why I'm here. And that's why we invited you to join our campaign. This is going to be a tough campaign. I mean, I have adversaries who spend more time on my campaign than their campaign. It's a high compliment. And I don't believe in dividing ourselves. I don't believe in that. I think what you're going to hear from me and from our campaign are all the things we need to do together to build this country. And it includes on energy, whether it's C-48 that has to go, or C-69 that has to go. And on all the issues of carbon and environmental policy, we're going to do a smart policy. We'll do a smart policy. We're going to get it right. The design, whatever it is, and we'll do it while respecting Canadians who live in rural areas, the provinces, and we're going to design it in a way. I mean, does it make sense that on the 1st of April we'd be increasing the carbon tax in this environment? I mean, obviously not. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. We can do a lot better. We can be smarter. But to get there, I need the support of the people from Alberta. And it's going to be a big fight. But you know what? I've never had anything else but a big fight in my lifetime. When we went to Quebec with the separatists, and when we fought, I was, the Quebec media thought I was Attila the Hun because I was so much to the right relative to where they were. And I don't shy away from the fight. This fight is worth it. This is about Canada. And I'm going to be in this to win this fight, and I'll win it for the right reasons. First of all, for the Conservative Party, but I want to win for Canada itself. Hear, hear. Thank you. I want to take a moment to thank Cynthia Williams and Sylvia Ferrand and Patrick Rea for also being here and helping us organize this event. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, you're looking at the candidate and you're looking at the campaign that's built to win. And we want you and we need you and your country needs you to be part of this campaign. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean. I think it's pretty telling that the Build to Win campaign started here today in Alberta, and we appreciate you coming. Jean's going to do a few minutes with the media, but he's going to stick around and say hello to the folks here. So please do stick around. And again, thank you for coming. The nomination papers are in the back. If you're able to sign, please do. Pledge forms.
Long gun registry, the carbon tax, your work with the Chinese Huawei group when they were holding prisoners. How are you going to overcome those obstacles in the West?
Well, you have a list there. Let's start with Huawei, and what we did in Huawei. I'm very proud of what we did in helping to sort out the situation of Miss Meg Wanzhou. And I worked with the family of Michael Coburn so that we could free the two Michaels. And we worked with them very, very closely throughout the whole process. And I never did anything and would have never done anything that would have been contrary to the interest of my country. So in fact, we were very, very active in helping resolve that matter and to bring the two Michaels home. So on the long gun registry, the police forces in Quebec are the ones who said, if you're going to do away with the registry, why don't you just transfer over to us the information that's there? That's the long and the short of it. On that. It's very simple to do. And your other question was on
carbon tax.
Well, we will have an opportunity to talk about that during the campaign, but let me start by the beginning. We need a very, very comprehensive approach that includes policies that are going to promote economic growth and make sense by themselves. Carbon capture and storage, blue hydrogen, green hydrogen, small modular reactors. Hydro, of course, is part of that. Biofuels. I mean, those are the things that we need to be smart about. And I'm very committed to designing a policy that is going to be good and will deal with transition. I'll give you an example. I was in Europe a few weeks ago. The European Commission just announced their transition energy policy, and in their transition they're including nuclear and natural gas. And they're doing it for a reason, because it makes sense. If you want to transition to a point where you take carbon out of the economy or the energy sector, well then that's what you have to do. You need to be smart about it. And that's what we'll do for Canada. But the provinces will be part of and the industry will participate.
Do you think that the optics of you taking a salary from effectively the Chinese Communist Party will look bad if you do become Prime Minister?
I work to free the two Michaels. And by helping resolve the situation of Meng Wanzhou, that's what I did. And I worked with the family of Michael Kovrig to make that happen. And I'm very proud of it.
Il y a 2 ans, vous disiez que le parti était trop à droite, vous ne pouvez pas vous lancer parce qu'en l'environnement, le parti était rendu trop loin, trop ailleurs. Pourquoi 2 ans plus tard, vous pensez que le parti peut changer?
La situation a continué à évoluer, et le pays...
Construirez-vous de nouveaux filtres? Est-ce que vous allez en construire de nouveaux filtres?
Projet par projet. Les projets, on va les prendre au mérite. On va le faire en respectant les règles environnementales. On va le faire en respectant tous les autres critères.
Est-ce qu'il y en a un qui vous plaît?
Je ne vais pas spéculer sur les projets parce que je n'ai pas, moi, de maîtrise là-dessus. C'est pas moi qui va déterminer ou décider quel projet va avancer. Mais malheureusement, le conflit là, entre Russes et l'Ukraine vient de nous mettre en lumière le fait que le Canada pourrait très bien jouer un rôle. Là, malheureusement, comme on ne s'est pas occupé de développer nos infrastructures, on est incapable de le faire. Honnêtement, là,
can you talk about just the, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just the significance of Alberta votes, Alberta fundraising for your campaign? How much of a cornerstone will this province be for your?
Well, the last time, I've always done very well in Alberta when I was in politics. People, you know, one thing that Albertans feel strongly about is that it's not where you're from, and it's not your name, and it's not your diploma, or it's not that determines what your future is. I've always loved that about Alberta and Albertans. So in this province, I have a lot of people I've worked with over the years, who are friends and colleagues who will be there, and it'll be a fight. It'll be a real fight, but you know what else is new?
What would you do to ensure that Canadian oil is being
that was the last
purchased?
question. Sorry guys.